Everybody, welcome back. I am your host, Joe JDF Foster, and today we will be discussing the final part of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina series from Netflix. Now, I'm going to try to avoid the spoilers as much as possible because, to me, honestly, I do think you need to watch it if you were looking for it because otherwise, it's just a waste of time. If you've watched the first two parts, if you watched the parts up till now, then you might as well finish it off. It's like watching Supernatural up till its final season and then not watching it. Or like that with Criminal Minds, Big Bang Theory, any series. But anyways, let's get on to the big notes. Um, First off, for those of you who didn't know, with Sabrina's little series, with Chilling Adventures, the reason why it was so dark is the same reason Riverdale was so dark and Katie Keene, the reason why they took on a different aspect. It's all due to the idea of a mini series in the comics that was done of Archie's that was set up to be a Halloween issue miniseries that was really popular. Which starts out with I actually had the first issue of this comic miniseries where Jughead's dog on Halloween is hit by a truck. And he's so hurt that he goes to Sabrina, this great teenage witch that everybody knows, and asks her for help. Well, she does a forbidden spell and brings the dog back from the dead. Well, what they don't count on is that though at first the dog seems normal, it goes pet cemetery on them. And ends up becoming an Eye of the Living Dead type dog where it bites them and passes the infection on to Jughead. And once it passes the disease on to Jughead, he then in turn started passing it on to others in the town who kept on the process. Well, it takes Sabrina, her aunts, and others to actually stop it from being a worldwide epidemic deal. But because this little mini series setup was so popular and so well liked, they rebooted the series of the Archie comics. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Katie Keene, Josie and the Pussycat, all those in that little universe into their darker side. And even made the TV shows that we knew of today of Riverdale, Katie Keene, and of course the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. And also, it's why they did Nancy Drew so dark, even though she's not actually part of the universe officially, and why the Hardy Boys is that way. Because apparently that's the popular thing. To me, that's just trying to do like what they did with vampires and werewolves with the Twilight movies. Only difference is vampires and werewolves don't glitter and they weren't as popular. This somehow lasted. And with the reboots, when they did them, like I said, they got darker on the TV versions. And Sabrina went from the Melissa Joan Hart comedy, enjoyable version to the darker version that you saw on Netflix, where it had more of a psychological, emotional touch to it. Now for the good and bad about this. Good thing about it, with the final part of the series being aired, it wrapped everything up in a logical conclusion, and the runtime for the entire series was done nicely to fit everything into it. Also, you got to see Hilda, Zelda, and Salem from the series come on to the show in the final part because of how they do certain episodes in it. Now for the bad. And I'm sorry, I should have said spoiler on that. But now for the real spoiler. But now to continue on that with the spoiler. The talking Salem in this, and this is where it really bugged me, was really bad because they made it so much more or less lifelike than the one they used in the Melissa Joan Hart version with Nick Bakay, a voice in it. With this version, they might as well have taken it to a taxidermist, just had the thing stuffed. That's all it was to me. It just looked like a stuffed cat that was sitting there. You know, basically, you could have taken it, you could have mounted it on the wall with the way and said, hey, look, I went and hunted that. Only it's the full animal rather than just the head. Also, even though the ending was logical in this one, it didn't seem right to me. I think it needed more of an emotional ending to fit it, to tie in with the darkness of the series. Sorry. And as I stated earlier, they had the ants. They had both versions of the ants, of Hilda and Zelda, on this one in the final season. And the TV versions, I forget it's Caroline Ray, and I forget who played Aunt Zelda, but both of them made the appearances on here, which I don't really mind that, except for the fact that in an interview that was given during the first season, or first part of this, the first part of the Sabrina series, those two, or at least one of them, and Melissa Joan Hart, said they would not be a part of the series because they did not like the direction that they had taken with the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and making it as dark as they did. So I don't know what changed to get them to agree. And I'm going to guess that it was a nice financial deal made that possible, but it could be something else changed. But still, the fact that that happened kind of bugs me. And the way that they played them was also. And the way they also played the ants in this one. Spoiler there with that. The way they play the ants in this one, it's not nice either. So, anyways, on to the thing. Like I said, my recommendation. If you were watching the series and you're a fan, continue to watch it. Finish it off. If you haven't seen it, watch it from the beginning and go to the end, because I think you will actually enjoy it. And until next time, I am your host. Have fun.